Some NBA players, after tearing their ACL or rupturing their Achilles, are never really the same afterwards. Their efficiency drops dramatically, their points go down, and although they may look the same on the outside, everyone knows that, well, they're just not. They've changed. They're not the same killer that they used to be. Klay Thompson, on the other hand, on the last regular season game of 2022, in a game where a win was necessary to clinch the number 3 seed in the Western Conference, just dropped 41 points on 55% shooting from the floor and 50% from three-point range. In today's video, we're going to go over just why Klay Thompson is still impossible to guard even after coming off a 2-year hiatus. Just like the Chef and other great shooters like Reggie Miller and Kyle Korver, the first reason why Klay is so hard to guard is because he knows how to use screens and angles to get clean looks at the rim. It's just an important skill to have, and Klay Thompson has completely mastered it. I mean, check this out. In this out-of-bounds set, Klay sweeps and curls around 2 staggered screens before receiving the ball in a shooting pocket. The defender, well, Klay was already in his upward shooting motion before he even arrived. Here's another example. It's the same staggered screen set by Wiggins and Looney, and because of Klay's knowledge on how to effectively use the screens and angles, Klay was already in midair by the time Mitchell even arrived. Here's Klay once again at the top of the key. When Wiggins slips to the rim, Klay quickly uses the screen by JP3 for a running 3 against Drew Holiday, one of the premier perimeter defenders in the league. Again, just another example of how Klay's knowledge of screens and angles frees him up even against elite defenders.
He can play with his back to the basket right there. Here comes Golden State. A shot bounce in 18 minutes at Phoenix on Tuesday. It's a Klay Thompson.
Anyway, moving on here. The second thing I want to point out on why Klay is so difficult to guard is because he's not just a one-dimensional catch-and-shoot guard. This dude is so dang good at using just 1 or 2 dribbles to reload, improve his positioning, and most importantly, get into rhythm. Let me show you what I mean. In this crazy sequence against the Pistons to beat the clock, Klay let his defender fly past him when he dribbled and sidestepped to the left for the reload 3. And hey, would you look at that, he even had 1.8 seconds left to spare. And the same thing happened here. Fake, flyby, sidestep, splash. On this next play here, with 22 seconds left on the clock, Klay caught the ball, took 1 dribble, and dribbled this one on the move despite having an athletic Anthony Edwards closing out on him. And finally, in this fast break opportunity, Klay could have just shot the ball immediately after catching it, but instead, by using just 2 dribbles, he created a much better look. Again, this is just another example of how Klay has mastered the art of using 1 or 2 dribbles to improve his positioning for a higher percentage shot.
Stay upright for every game played so far. There was question marks about his durability going forward.
In fact, according to advanced statistics, Klay is actually much more efficient when pulling up for 3-point shots after coming off 1 to 2 dribbles as opposed to just catch and shoot situations. I mean, he's at 35% when he takes 0 dribbles, 42% when he dribbles once, and when he takes 2 dribbles, his 3-point percentage actually shoots all the way up to almost 64%. Sheesh, guys. Coach Kerr should make it a rule that Klay has to dribble at least once or twice before shooting any threes. Anyway, another reason why Klay Thompson is still so difficult to guard is because he's a 3-level scorer. He has a 3-point shot, he has that mid-range shot, and despite not knowing to have hops, he has the ability to attack the rim. Here's Klay coming off a flare screen set by Steph, but instead of setting up for the 3, Klay dives straight to the hoop, which caught the other team off guard. Now, when the defense overplays him on the closeout, Klay still has a decent first step, and would you look at that, he can also finish with his left. In these clips here, Klay showed his deceptive quickness versus the Nuggets as he squeezed these shots in as if they were under Uncle Drew himself. With the playoffs sitting just around the corner, Klay has been picking up steam as of late, by having back-to-back 30-point performances against the Lakers and the Jazz, followed by a 41-point game against the Pelicans. When this dude and Steph are clicking at the same time, they're going to be unstoppable in the playoffs. And speaking of Steph, another reason why Klay is still so difficult to guard is because, just like his fellow Splash brother Steph, he's always in constant motion. I mean, take a look at what Klay is about to do here. Cunningham knows that he can't leave Klay open, and that's why he's preventing Klay from going over the screen. But Klay responded with a counter by just going backdoor for a walk-in-the-park lay-in. That's just way too easy. This time around, Klay acted as a decoy screener, and when the defenders both committed to JP3, Klay sneakily slid inside for the easy deuce. This dude is just always in motion. Anyway, it's clear that in addition to being one of the best sharpshooters in the history of basketball, Klay's also a high IQ type of player. This is yet another reason why Klay is so tough to guard. Being a 6'6", 6'7" guard, Klay loves to exploit mismatches.
Could we see the return of Zion?
I mean, whenever a smaller guard switches on to Klay, he simply gets into position, and with his back to the basket, he just turns around and hits these mid-range shots just like it's a practice drill. Lastly, with the defensive attention that Klay gets being an offensive threat, another reason why teams are having such a hard time stopping Klay is because he plays in a system that values unselfishness, and he's more than willing to deliver the extra pass if it means a better shot. Here against Cunningham, Klay went to the right and attacked the rim, but when the window closed, instead of forcing it, he adjusted midair and threw a jumping bounce pass to Wiggins in the opposite corner for a wide open bucket. In this sequence here, Klay attacks the closeout by Prince. Though he already has a clear shot at the basket, he also was able to locate Bjelica down low for a higher percentage attempt. Now, when the defense shows up on the top, Klay isn't the type of player who will force the issue, and in this play, he slides a dime to the roll man, and Kuminga takes care of the rest. Anyway, another reason why Klay Thompson is so difficult to guard is because he has absolute confidence in his own abilities. I mean, earlier on in the season, this is what he told the media. "I don't care if I miss 100 shots in a row, I'm never going to stop shooting the ball. I love it too much, and I work too hard not to." In addition, this is what Steve Kerr recently said of the three-time champion. "The proof is on the court just what he's looked like over the last couple of weeks. He's been in a great groove now, so it's really a good sign. He's one of the greatest shooters of all time. The biggest thing is he's just found his rhythm. He's gotten his conditioning. Early on, he wanted everything back so badly he was forcing the issue, and it's just been really fun to watch him settle in." Klay chimed in and said, "I pat myself on the back because when you go through the injuries I did, there's some really slow days. There's so many tedious exercises and just building up your muscles again to do what you love is a challenge, something I've never had to do before. So to do it twice and come out and average 20 points is inspiring for myself and just makes me want to keep going, because I'm still just scratching the surface of what I can become." He finished by saying, "I'm so excited for the playoffs. Having to watch the last 2 years was painful." Well, now that Klay's found his groove again and has become quite impossible to guard on the floor, and with Steph coming back and with Jordan Poole's evolution, I think we're about to see one of the greatest free-flowing offenses in NBA history. Anyway, are you wondering just how the Warriors will perform this season in the playoffs? I got my playoff predictions right here for you, and let me tell you guys, it's a great time to be a Warriors fan. Anyway, just click the video guys, and like always, I'll see you on the other side.